Hey, what's up, everybody? Shane Presley here to tell you about my friends, Music Record Shop. Check them out, 4191A Manchester Avenue, in the heart of the Grove, right between the demo and the ready room. This Friday, new music happy hour, 10% off any purchase. New records from Beach House, Iron and Wine, Wilco, and Coheed and Cambria. Also Saturday, come check them out for Cassette Store Day. They are the only shop in town celebrating Cassette Store Day, so come out, live music going on. That's the 17th. Check them out online, Facebook, Twitter, musicrecordshop.com.
Hey, this is Kenny Bahr. You're listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Yeah, this is Rock Paper Podcast with Shane and his guests. You will listen to what he says. Shane will drive to your house and bring you brownies and talk for hours, 'cause it's Rock Paper Podcast. Tell me why it's nothing but a podcast. Tell me why we're making this for your ass. Tell me why. All you gotta do is download Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, hanging out with Kenny Bahr. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. How's everybody doing?
I'm good, man. We're hanging out here at Billy G's in Kirkwood. If it's a little background noise, it's lunchtime, but we're having a good time up here. But yeah, man, we met, I don't know, maybe a year ago or something, somewhere in there.
Yeah, a year, maybe two.
Maybe two. I think was it Clockwork?
I think we had been friends on Facebook for a year prior to that.
Yeah.
And then I think I officially met you maybe at Clockwork.
Right.
And had my wife with me and introduced her to you. And yeah, that's always fun when you go. You meet a Facebook friend. It's always a pleasure.
For sure. Yeah. May become friends in real life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Being pretty active in the scene, I try to add a lot of people, like musicians, and I started seeing a lot of your work, your photography online, and so I was like, I wanted to add you to keep up with more of that, it's been really cool to use Facebook as a networking, like it's for, instead of just putting cat and dog videos up and stuff. And
it's truly unbelievable how Facebook works, and that you're able to connect with so many people and musicians, and here you do a podcast and you're getting just about every band in St. Louis, which is just awesome.
Trying to work my way around town. I tell everybody, I got stickers, I give them away, and I say trying to take over every guitar case or drum kit that I can in town. So hopefully someday that's kind of the fun of it too. Is like it's a never ending. There's always going to be a new wave of young musicians coming up. So there's always going to be somebody new to talk to. And but it is kind of fun too. I've been getting to that point now where I've been circling back around, and I've been now that I've been doing it a little over a year, catching up with some people. Just seeing what they're up to now.
Right.
And
what are you at? 125?
I put 121 up this morning.
Okay.
So, yeah. I've got a few. I've got a few recorded that haven't aired yet. So I think I'm somewhere around there.
That's an awesome feat.
Yeah, man. It's and I do. do feel like it's like I had my 1 year party in June with Steve over at Steve's Hot Dogs and stuff, and I felt like just that milestone, like doing it for a year, gave me like some sort of like credibility of sorts. People like know that I'm like sort of taking it for real. It's not just some goofy hobby or whatever.
Absolutely. People know Shane Presley.
Well, it's cool that people know me now. I don't know, but it's just just hustling, trying to create something cool for St. Louis, and people seem to be responding to it. They, especially the artists that have been on the show, they really appreciate, because there's a lot of people I've been able to talk to that, I've had those bigger guests and stuff, but a lot of the people I like to talk to are people that maybe, I just had the guys Through the Scope on. They're up and coming metal band, and they're having their release party, and I was their very first interview, so they were excited for the opportunity to get to plug their album and stuff. So
and that's it's interesting that St. Louis, we have so many bands and musicians and artists in St. Louis, and I've yet to meet one or anyone that isn't nice.
Yeah.
Every single person is so welcoming and, hey, what's up? How you doing? And they're glad to see my face there or your face there.
Right.
In my face, it's with the camera, and it's just really special. And I don't. Maybe it's like that in other cities. I don't know.
Yeah.
But St. Louis it's just a really cool. It's a cool spot, and I feel like it's a it's a mecca for the music industry.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I feel there's some serious talent bubbling under here in town, and if we do it right, with the venues we have here and the talent and the people, and we we all stick together and work together, we have a good thing going. There's
absolutely,
hopefully start getting some recognition for some, be listed among some of the other, Nashvilles and Austins and stuff like that, these other big music towns, where hopefully St. Louis will start being on that radar, where people realize this is a great place to perform at, and a great place to tour out of and stuff. And
absolutely,
if we could just get people to quit stealing other people's shit when they come to town, that's
God. What has it been, like 3 in the last 6 months or so?
I don't know. It seems like it's almost weekly sometimes. Like
a band comes into town and they go to lunch and their van gets broken into in a trailer.
I don't understand that. I don't get what's going on. Why we seem to be on that's what makes the news. That's the publicity that we get is
and it's not even just local. I mean, a lot of these go national. It's like, God.
So if we could just start getting people to talk about the good stuff instead of the junk that's happening around. But
and I think the new Arch project could really start to bring people to St. Louis too. It's I don't know if you've seen it recently. It's absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, I haven't been down there in a while. I know they talked about. I remember seeing like the early ideas of like
the renderings.
Yeah, so
it's gonna be awesome and just beautiful, and I don't know what needs to be done to clean up our city to make it safer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that something happens soon.
Yeah. Yeah, my every time I go down there, hang out a lot at Oyster Bar and Beale and everything down on Broadway there. And every time I go down there, I'm talking to my dad, I'll be like, yeah, I'm going down there. And he's like, well, be careful, like all this stuff. And I'm like, I realize things happen. I'm not naive to that, but nothing's ever happened to me down there. I've never been in any situations or whatever. It's just, but that's the thing. It's like everybody's afraid of, there has that mentality kind of that you go into the city, you got to watch out for all this stuff, and it's like, well, there's crazy people everywhere. You got to watch out wherever you go. But but yeah, hopefully, I don't know what it would take to kind of clear that, where people feel more comfortable going downtown.
Maybe a bigger police presence. I don't know if that's the answer, or maybe not have as many police. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think in all generalization, I think that St. Louis is safe. We know it's safe. and I think for the most part, bands feel safe when they come into town.
Right.
Unless they're, I don't know. I heard a story at Lou Fest that one or two of the bands was a little concerned with safety.
Oh yeah.
Who I was talking to said, "Don't worry. There's a complete perimeter around the Lou Fest. It's all fenced out." But and this person and I were talking about it, and it was like, God, here's somebody coming into St. Louis, and they're nervous.
Yeah.
But obviously nothing happened.
Sure.
I don't think anything. I think within the next year, I think a lot's going to happen. With the violence and shootings or whatever. I think a lot of it was the what's been dubbed as the Ferguson effect.
Yeah.
And now that has pretty much stopped. There's no more nightly or weekly protests. So I feel like things are starting to tame down a little bit. Mm-hmm. We can all hope.
Yeah.
But it's looking more and more positive now.
Yeah, definitely. But I was going to bring that up. I was going to ask you about it because I know you were down there quite a bit doing some photography and things, and you, I guess, some of your work got noticed and things, and
it's actually kind of an interesting story.
Yeah.
On August 10th. So the initial incident with Michael Brown and Darren Wilson happened on August 9th. Well, I had gone out on August 10th at 10 in the morning by myself, and I remember calling my wife and I told her that I was going to Ferguson, and she's like, "Well, why are you going there?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, this is going to be a big story or whatever." And so I shot that day and night, and I tweeted that night. I tweeted 2 pictures, #Ferguson.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call from the New York Daily News, and they said, we'd like for you to work for us. And I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, okay, awesome. So they said, okay, can you head back out there at 5 o'clock or whatever? And there I was the next day, getting paid to do what I had done the night before for free.
Yeah.
And so that was just awesome. And so I worked, I guess it was 2 weeks straight for the New York Daily News, and it was long. I mean, I'd get home at 4:30 in the morning, just completely drained, with tear gas and like the adrenaline with everything going on, and just not knowing and what was going to happen if there was going to be another shooting or anything like that. And then I got a phone call from a friend who with Reuters, and they wanted me to do some reporting and shooting for Reuters. Thomson Reuters is a newswire.
Okay.
And so there I was working for 2 companies, reporting and shooting, and so I pretty much worked for both companies from August all the way through November, through the decision night, November 25th or 26th. And that was pretty wild. It was while it was the worst thing that's ever happened to St. Louis, in my opinion, it was also the best thing that's ever happened to me as far as my career goes. It was just, I was lucky. I couldn't believe how it all happened. So, within this last couple months, I've been asked to attend Reuters training, and it's called hostile environment training. So they'll fly me to either New York or Chicago or San Francisco, and I'll go through a 2 or 3 day, all day training, and it's training on kidnappings or bombings or mass shootings, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, any situation that I could be hurt in.
Yeah.
So again, this all came from me going out one day,
right,
in Ferguson,
and
here I am.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and I'm very happy and thankful.
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty wild stuff, man. But I feel like that's the only, it's kind of you got to put yourself out there in order to, allow these things to happen. It's like
right.
If you would have stayed home that night, who knows what would have,
Exactly.
You still could have had, good opportunities and things, but just that moment where you're like being proactive in it, where you're like, I'm gonna go try to do something, and then all this leads out of that. So I feel like that a lot with my life too, like where the hustle with the show and things, where I get out and I'm doing these things. It's like I'm not really making any money doing it. I'm having fun doing it, but just the thing is like hopefully this all pays off and some
it will
would lead to the next thing. So yeah. But yeah, I go by that a lot. But yeah, that's wild stuff, man. I don't know. So what is it like being down there? Was it as crazy as it seemed like when on the news and everything, or is it worse? Or
it was portrayed a little different in the media.
Yeah.
There are two sides to the media.
Right.
It was dangerous, for sure. There were times where I was definitely scared. I mean, I think that I don't think that you can be immune to the sound of a gunshot.
No. Yeah.
So I mean, when that would happen, yes, you'd be scared for your life, but for the most part, I mean, what I saw was it was pretty cool to see an entire community come together.
Yeah.
At the beginning, there were, thousands of people on West Florissant, and that was pretty cool to see and shoot and be a part of. But, then different people with different agendas started to come into Ferguson, and it just kind of took a turn. And that whether that's right or wrong, but it was just it was pretty drastic. I mean, you could feel the difference, like between that day that these different people showed up, and the day before. It was just night and day. But I think it's all, Ferguson has pretty much died down now, and
right.
I think Ferguson is well on its way to healing and being a good community that it was prior to all this.
Definitely. Yeah. We mentioned Lou Fest too. Like, was that how was that this year?
Lou Fest was good. Yeah, they had a record. I think I read that it was a record turnout. And, our boys from Clockwork had a good stage, and they put on a fantastic show. Even though Jordan's guitar had an issue.
Oh, yeah? Technical difficulties?
Little technical difficulties on his acoustics, so he played the acoustic songs with the electric. But it still sounded fantastic. I think they played a great show, and the crowd seemed, really into them. And those guys are awesome. They put in so much hard work, and just all three of those guys, they're honestly some of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Yeah, they're great. I love watching them play. I love watching the growth as they've continued to build a fan base, and all over the country now. They've been touring a bunch and stuff, and it's
they're becoming road dogs.
Yeah, it's exciting to see, and knowing that where they came from, kind of where they started, and remember watching them play at Pops and stuff on down there, when they were like way young. So they're still young, but that's it's exciting though.
I think they're gonna hit it at some point. Maybe one more year, maybe two.
Yeah,
most.
Yeah, they got some great songs. That's just a matter of getting people to hear them. That's the trick is.
Yep.
But yeah, they. I really wanted to go. I bought a ticket when there was like the special went out for the day. It was like $50 ticket or something like this. So I was like, I just jumped on it. Didn't even look at the date, and then I looked at Then I went after our transaction. I was like, oh, what's that date anyway? Because I just got excited because I wanted to go to Lou Fest, and I looked at the date. It was September 12th and 13th, and the 12th. was my wife was in a wedding for her best friend, so we had to go. We were in that wedding, or I attended that wedding.
Right.
And then on the 13th was our 1-year wedding anniversary. So, so I was like, probably won't go over so well if I go.
No.
If I go to Lou Fest.
She wouldn't like that too much.
Yeah, right. So I ended up selling a ticket to my buddy, so I didn't lose out on anything. But
well, Lou Fest, that's another one of those just up and coming festivals. I mean, it's not even up and coming anymore. It is the. I mean, it's an awesome festival.
Yeah,
they're getting big names, and that's huge.
Did you stick around all day and watch everybody, or?
No, I didn't. I was there for the day, and then just when was I guess Sunday. I didn't go Saturday, or I guess no, maybe it was the other way. Yeah, Saturday is when Clockwork played, and I did not go Sunday.
Okay.
We had just gotten back from, my wife and I took a vacation for our 10-year wedding anniversary, so we had just gotten back into town, and we were both tired, and I just didn't feel like spending the whole weekend at a music festival.
Sure. Yeah, I went last year and had a great time, and that was my first one, and then I was excited about this year's. I do like a lot of the bands that were there, and it's just, I don't know, it's fun. The only problem I have with those festivals is like the fact that there's 3 stages are set up, and then the main stage later in the evening. But it's just, there's a lot of times there's 2 bands on each stage I want to see
at the same time, right?
Yeah, so like last year, I think it was like Blackberry Smoke and Cake played at the same time or something like that, and like I had to run. I watched like half the set here, and then I ran over there and tried to watch half the set. Luckily, it's only on the other side of the field, but it's like, still, it's just like it's a bummer having to pick between 2 of your favorites and things.
Oh,
like
I know.
That.
I shot Cake last year at Lou Fest.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Cake, those guys are crazy. They've been at it for so long, and still kicking out tunes, and I mean people were stoked. It's like, oh my God, Cake.
Yeah.
Good group of guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they I think I saw them at a Point Fest also recently, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And but yeah, they're a lot of fun. They're great.
They actually played right before the Urge.
Oh, was that same year?
That, I think, was 2011.
Yeah, they all started to run together for me after a while.
I know.
It's hard to keep all the lineups straight because a lot of times it's a lot of the same bands. Like I've seen
Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah, I've seen Breaking Benjamin.
How many times at Point Fest?
Right. I've seen the you got POD and all stuff like that. They all end up coming back on a bunch of those bills. So
speaking of that Point Fest, that was that one was special because so I think it was Cake and then the Urge and then Bush was headlining, and I'll never forget this. The Urge goes off, and I swear to God, half the place left.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so bad to where I felt bad for Bush.
All right.
I mean, I'm literally watching just people leave in drones, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I mean, that goes to show, that it's the Urge.
Yeah.
And like,
I think
the Urge.
I think there was a very similar effect too for when they opened for 311 at on that 4th of July show.
Yeah, I was out of town for that one, but did that kind of happen?
I think it was a very similar vibe too. There was because I mean I was there to see the Urge. I do like 311, but
sure.
I got watching them after the Urge was very boring to me. Like I just
I mean, frankly, watching any band after the Urge is boring.
Right? Yeah, it's hard. It's
you can't see the Urge and then another band.
It's a very tough act to follow.
Yes.
Let alone the music sounds great, but the energy that they put into a show, and either you got to come in and match it, or you're done. Because like for me, I believe it's just like I remember seeing and I've done the comparison before with other people, but I saw Kenny Wayne Shepherd one night open for Robert Cray at Lumiere Casino.
Okay.
And Robert Cray's a legend, and he's fantastic. But having Kenny Wayne Shepherd open for him, Kenny Kenny comes in and just slays the stage, just so much energy in the room, and then Robert plays like a totally different, more kind of jazz, like slower kind of vibe to it, and so for him to come out and start doing his stuff, like I literally was falling asleep, and I'm like, me and my dad are like, "You ready to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I can't stay awake."
I bet everybody else felt that way too.
Yeah, and it was like if it was the other way around, I think it would have been a much better show. Even though, but by name sake, Robert was the headliner and stuff. But it's just like, you got to think about all that. When you're putting on a show, you don't want your opener to outdo you and stuff. And but I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's all, it makes for a great show. But as a fan, sometimes it's hard to hang with some of those shows after the opener put on such a great opening performance and stuff like that. Totally.
So the Urge, kind of wild. The Urge is to me is one of those high school memories. And I'm 35, and there was a bunch of us we all went to Webster Groves High School, and in high school we would go to Mississippi Nights, all Christmas shows, all 4 nights. And then we'd go to the Blue Note in Columbia and Lawrence, Kansas, and Manhattan, Kansas. We kind of, we were just such big fans. And it was kind of funny one night. I guess it might have been around 97 or 98 or so. My good friend Christian and Christian is a friend from high school. We drove to Warrensburg, Missouri to see the Urge. And POD was opening for the Urge at this really, really small club. I don't even remember the name of it. The Upstairs Lounge, maybe. And somehow or another, we made it on the Urge's tour bus. And, we sat there and shot the shit with the guys and took a couple pictures with the Polaroid camera. And there's a picture of Steve Ewing and I, and then another picture of Christian and Steve Ewing. Well, little did Christian and I know, and or Steve or any of the guys know, that around 2004, Steve Ewing would go to produce Christian and his band, and they were called Logic, also from Webster Groves. So that was just, Christian and I have talked about it, several times. Like, God, it's so crazy. There we were, fans of the Urge, and then here's Steve producing my band. Like, just kind of a cool story. And all these years been going to see the Urge, and now I'm, one of 3 photographers, for them, and I go to all the shows and. Kind of shoot the VIP, pre-show and, the sound check. And it's cool because a lot like you, like I've become, friends with these guys too. And it's pretty awesome. In fact, Steve Ewing he met my wife and I at the Cheshire on our wedding night, which was September 3rd, 2005. Because at that time he was also producing Logic. And I didn't know Steve really well at that point, but Christian and Johnny, who were both in my wedding, both, members of Logic. So he sang a song for my wife and I, which was really cool, because I'm like, God, man, this is so weird. Steve Ewing singing at my wedding reception or whatever, 10 years after, seeing the Urge as a, high schooler. Right. So it's pretty cool. The Urge, those guys are awesome. Yeah, great guys, great musicians. It's pretty wild, man. That I was saying how that I've been able to go from fan to friend when and working with these guys. I've been like I said, put on that show with Steve Ewing in June and stuff. It's just wild to think that I get some of the stuff I've been able to get myself into now. It's just right. Yeah, but it's cool, man. I'm enjoying it, and I'm you can see you're enjoying it as well. Oh yeah, we're both having a good time up here. Yeah, man. You just went to see Godsmack and Seven Dust, you said? Yeah. So
how was that?
My friend Jeannie is on tour with Godsmack, and she.
Shout out to Jeannie.
Yeah, Jeannie, we're gonna get you on here.
Yeah. She said she would. We talked a while back. She said she wanted to. If I ever wanted her on, she would come tell some stories. So,
she'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll call her when I leave here.
Yeah.
So she called me and said, hey, come up to Springfield. So, I drove up to Springfield and got there around 4 o'clock, just in time for sound check, and hung out the whole day, and met the guys from Seven Dust and a couple of the guys from Godsmack, and I tell you what, I've seen probably 300 rock shows, and that was one of the, I don't want to say one of the best, but definitely up there.
Yeah.
And both bands just absolutely rock hard. It was amazing, and just it was awesome.
Yeah. Or was that in that amphitheater thing, or arena, that O'Reilly's or whatever?
No, it's a place called Prairie Capital Convention Center.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit smaller of a venue, but still, it's like a smaller version of Chaffetz Arena here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
It sounded just amazing, and met a bunch of the crew guys, and it kind of opened my eyes to that industry, and that's an industry that I've been kind of toying around with, going on with, touring, as a tour photographer. So it was kind of cool to see how it all works, and I tell you what, it's definitely something that not many people realize how much goes into a show with production, and everything from stage to lights to sound to production cases and wardrobes, and there's so much, and it's so complex how much goes into a tour. And they get to a venue and everything comes out of the 4 semi trucks, and everything's set up, stage, lights, sound, everything, and then after the show it immediately gets taken down, back in the semi, drive to the next venue, and do it all over again.
Right.
It's spectacular, truthfully.
Yeah. So that's where you're, when you think about your $20, $40 ticket or whatever it is, it's not just going to the bands, it's going to all those crew members. And
that's right. It's going to everything that goes into that show.
Right. Yeah.
So don't ever complain about paying for a ticket.
Yeah.
Because everyone, you're only seeing that band because of everyone behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that and then you got I was talking to Jimmy Griffin about those El Monstero shows and how much production it goes into those. And
you just read my mind. I was
yeah.
going to say the same thing. That
I think you're saying there was almost I don't know, 50 or something, whatever it is. There's tons of people that help put that show on, make it what it is, and it's
absolutely. And we'll have to give a shout out to Kevin Gagnapane, because that's El Monstero is Kevin Gagnapane.
Yeah.
And I guess you can say Favaz too.
Yeah.
But El Monstero, that's a production that you St. Louisans don't want to miss.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
Don't make an excuse. No, I can't go because of XYZ reasons. Just go.
Well, they give you about 8 shows to catch.
Exactly.
So, at least make one of them. Yeah.
Right. That's one of the best. I think it's truly one of the best productions you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Brit Floyd, nah. They have nothing.
Yeah, my buddy tells me Australian Pink Floyd's really good. I haven't never seen
them. They're good too.
Yeah.
But, just to give you an example, so I took my brother-in-law to El Monstero this year, and he's seen Australian Pink Floyd, 10 times. And during the middle of El Monstero, he said, "Dude," he goes, "these guys are way better than Australian Pink Floyd." He goes, "These guys are unbelievable."
Yeah.
He couldn't even believe it, because I'd been telling him for 4 or 5 years. Dude, you got to go to El Monstero. You got to go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, and there's always some excuse or some reason you can't go. So he and my sister went, and they were both just like, this is crazy.
Yeah. That was a lot of how I felt too. Like there was they've been doing it for since like mid '90s or something.
Yeah,
like that.
99.
Yeah, or late '90s, I guess. And then so they've been doing it for a long time. And then I know the show has obviously evolved over the years and become what it is today. But I knew that people were talking about they had a buzz every Christmas and stuff. They had these shows, and everybody's like, "Oh, you got to go." And I never did. And then I guess it was 2 years ago I went to my first one. And
at the Pageant or Art Hill?
At Pageant, yeah.
Okay.
And it just blew my mind. I was like right up in the front. Where I always like to get up against the fence there. And,
right.
And I was like, this is incredible. Like just the music alone, it just sounded great, but how much effort they go into the stage production with the lights, the smoke, the lasers, the dancers, and
stilts. It's crazy.
They have the security guard guy, Nazis. Part of the show, and they're all like out walking around and doing stuff. I mean, it's just it's crazy how many characters are involved. It's almost like. It's theater, it's like, let alone there's a rock show, but there's a theater aspect to it where you're getting a storyline through these songs and the show and everything else, and it's it's a lot of fun to see. It's so I went last year. I went back for my second, and I took my mother-in-law last year, and we went on the. Actually, I ended up getting free tickets from. It was one of those pageant vouchers. Had, if you check in on Facebook and stuff, you can get a chance to.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I ended up scoring 2 free tickets. So I took my mother-in-law Pam, and it was actually happened to be the show when they invited Connor Lau to guest guitar solo for Money, and I thought that was so cool too.
Yeah, Connor's awesome.
Yeah,
he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But for them to invite a 15-year-old guitar player to come hang with them and play, and I thought that was really neat that they do that kind of stuff like that.
Totally. And those guys in El Monstero too, similar to my interaction with the Urge. My friend Julie is the publicist for El Monstero, and I guess it was 3 years ago. She said. She asked me if I wanted to shoot the show, and I said, oh, that would be awesome. So I did, and I think I might have shot 3 or 4, of the 6 or 7 shows that year.
Yeah.
And then the next year it was the same thing, except this time I got to meet everybody, and now I consider all those guys friends.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them.
Yeah.
So it's so cool, to go from like fan to friend, just like we were talking about earlier. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I really enjoy getting to do being involved in whatever way it is in the St. Louis scene between doing this and just going to shows. I love being there at the Pageant and all the other venues around town, but it's fun, man. It's really cool.
Well, I have a funny story about Greek Fire.
Yeah.
And Johnny.
There you go.
Johnny Venus is the drummer. So last year we were moving out of our house, and Johnny and I were friends on Facebook, but we had never met.
Yeah.
And I threw a post on Facebook, and I needed help moving some furniture out of our house into a pot in the driveway. So I posted, 10 o'clock in the morning. None of my friends responded, but I get a message from Johnny Venus. And he says, dude, what's your address? I'll be there in 10 minutes. And I'm like, wait, are you kidding me? Like the drummer for Greek Fire? Wait, what? I've never met you.
Right.
And 10 minutes later, he pulls up in the driveway, and he sticks his hand out the window, and he says, hey, I'm Johnny. I said, hey, I'm Kenny. Nice to meet you. I just couldn't believe it. What a awesome guy.
Yeah.
Like that's just cool, and it just goes to show, again, how everyone, all the musicians in St. Louis are just cool.
Yeah.
Like everyone.
Yeah. That's incredible, man.
Well, and even weirdly, like our house we had recorded the highest mold count ever recorded in St. Louis County. And I told that to Johnny because the year before he had leukemia.
Yeah.
And he had just gotten over treatments, and I'm like, oh my God, like, dude, are you kidding me? But he came.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, that was cool. Yeah. So, I consider Johnny a friend too.
Yeah, let alone, just any random guy lending a hand, but you get,
exactly.
Johnny, because it's hard to get anybody to.
That's what I said. I'm like, okay, so not a one of my friends, even responds. But here's not just a guy that I'm friends with on Facebook who's just a guy, but he's the drummer for Greek Fire.
Yeah, right.
That was really, really cool.
Yeah. They just announced, I guess yesterday.
Yeah.
When we're recording this. The
Pageant.
Yeah, they'll be at the Pageant on December 7th for the Ho-Ho show. So if you haven't never seen a Greek Fire show, come out and see them guys.
That's another one of those shows you don't want to miss.
Yeah.
I mean, they're I think it's pretty. One thing's for sure: El Monstero, The Urge, and Greek Fire, all of which are local, and all three are shows you do not want to miss.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact.
Yeah. I've been going. I remember seeing Greek Fire. They did after the Story of the Year split up or hiatus or this kind of thing or whatever for a moment. They played a show at Foo Bar, and it was Greek Fire and the Fuck Off and Dies. And I've been hearing about them, but I didn't really know much about Greek Fire yet.
Well, the Fuck Off and Dies is Dan from Story of the Year too.
Yeah, and so anyway, my cousin Adam's like, hey, let's go to the show, because he knows those guys through school too. Like he was around their same age, and I think they might have played in other projects or had friends that or however it was. But he played music also, so I don't know. Somebody kind of ran around, so he knows Phil and stuff from years ago and things. Anyway, so he's like, let's go to this show, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'll check it out. But let alone, I mean, he said Greek Fire, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know who it was at the time, but and then I realized that Phil was also in Story of the Year, and then Dan was in Story of the Year, and all this stuff. So it all sort of came together. But this was the very beginning of Greek Fire, and and to watch them blossom into this band that they've, it's just they are one of the most energetic and fun bands to watch live. Especially the fact that Phil is hardly on the stage. He's he finds everywhere else to go.
Yeah, he's surfing a couch or a carpet or a board. Yeah, something out in the stands.
Yeah,
just melting people's faces off. It's just crazy.
At the Pageant, he walks the balcony and he's up there and the bar in the front there, and then at Point Fest, I saw him. He's sitting on top of the fence in the back, and then he crowd surfed a couple 100 feet out and stuff, and I don't know. It's just anywhere you go at a Greek Fire, you're gonna get a front row seat because
basically
Phil's coming to see you. So or Moon, sorry if you one way or another, Phil or Moon, whatever you want to call him.
Well, and those of you that don't know Greek Fire, Phil or Moon, if you listen to 105.7 The Point, he does the morning show with Rizzuto and Patrico and all those guys. And then, so it's basically Moon and then two other people from Story of the Year.
Yeah.
And then Johnny. They're awesome.
Well, there's I don't know. Mark, their bass player, right?
Yeah, Mark Joseph.
Yeah. And then Ryan's on guitar. He's from Story.
Yeah, Ryan Phillip. Yeah, Mark's not from Story. I meant Ryan.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what other stuff Mark's done, but he's a lot of fun on bass too. I saw those guys also do. They did like an acoustic night one down at Hard Rock in St. Louis there at Union Station, and it was them and 30-06 who are no longer together. They were a great hard heavy band that I liked, and but so I took a picture. I believe it's Kenny's picture, Kenny Williamson, and it was the one where Phil's like in that white suit on the red couch at Point Fest, and he's surfing on the crowd. Pretty sure that was.
Yeah, that's Kenny. Yeah.
And I bought a copy of it at CD Warehouse in Sun Ferry from Walter over there, and you can see he had some of the prints in there for sale. And I bought a copy, and then I took it to the show when I saw Greek Fire at Hard Rock, and I'm hanging out, and I was trying to get Moon to sign it for me, and they kind of broke down, and he was actually doing a radio across the parking lot at the Point that night, so he had to hurry up and get out of there, and I guess that's his wife was there, and she's like she caught him, and she's like, hey, this guy's been waiting here for you, patient and stuff, and so I was cool that she did that, but if I would have called him next time. It's not like I wasn't being I wouldn't have hurt my feelings, but it was cool that she noticed, and she sent it back, and he goes, oh hey man, sorry, and he but he signed my picture, and he wrote Flying High on it, and then and stuff, so I thought that was cool, to get that picture autographed, and I got it framed on the wall and stuff, and
awesome.
But yeah, so it's been fun to follow those guys for all these years too, and along with the other stuff. But
another guy you should get on the show here. Give a shout out to Walter Wright.
Yeah.
Do you know Walter?
I don't believe so.
All right, Walter works for B&D Security, but he's a staple, probably the longest staple in St. Louis.
I'm sure I recognize him.
He goes on the road with the Urge and Nelly.
Yeah.
Works every Urge show, every El Monstero show. He's one of those guys. I'm sure he's got so many just crazy stories.
Yeah, I reached out to. Haven't made it happen yet, but I reached out to Scott Long that does security there too. And
Scott's a great guy.
We became Facebook friends, and I was like, I said, hey man, would you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, I could. He's like, it would only be. He was telling me I would only tell. Because I asked if we would tell some stories, and because I'm sure as a security guard, he's seen it all, and he's like, yeah, but it would only be positive stories and stuff. I'm like, well, I'm all about positivity too. I don't need you to come and talk trash about somebody or whatever. Right. But yeah, so
Scott's he's a good guy.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that happens too. But yeah, that's where I'm like yourself. Like I'm trying to. I love the music. I love and I've had a bunch of comedians as well. I love the comedy, but I'm trying to get to talking to some of those people that are maybe behind the scenes, the sort of things, or the security guard, the photographers, the sound guy, the club owners, or whatever, different various people that make all of it possible as well, and just to hear some of their stories and things.
Because it's true. There's a lot that goes into it. The club and the security and photographers and videographers and sound guys, light guys. Right. There's a lot, and there's a lot of those. I'll call them legends around St. Louis that that are staples that have been doing putting shows on for years and years and years.
Yeah, it's been it's cool, man. It's fun to see that people are sticking together and and they enjoy what they do and creating some really cool stuff in town. So
for sure.
So what's one of your what's your proudest achievement so far with photography? What do you consider up there at the top?
That's a tough one.
Do you have any particular picture you're really proud of, or?
Yeah, I do. one of my favorite images that I've ever taken is of Bob Weir, one of the founding members of the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Bob Weir and Rat Dog came to the Pageant 2 or 3 years ago, and I have one image from that show that I actually have had printed 30 by 35 because it's just my favorite image.
Yeah.
And then this year, I got a really sweet image from El Monstero out at the shed at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater.
Yeah.
To where Kevin texted me and said, like, dude, wow, like that image of us, during which you were here is just perfect.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna have that one printed too. That's another one of my favorite images. And then I guess one other image that I also have printed on foam board is it's a shot out of Ferguson, and it looks like if I didn't tell you where it was, you would say, "Oh my God, when were you in Baghdad?"
Yeah.
It's to the MRABs, with the tear gas and like nine or 10 SWAT team officers wearing camouflage with their M16s or whatever guns.
Yeah.
It's just it's a crazy image because it was just a point in time that will probably never happen in St. Louis again, and I didn't have to go to the Middle East to capture that image.
Yeah.
So it just,
stuff.
again, Ferguson was history, and I'm happy to have been a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. As much, as an awful thing as it was, like you said, at least it was a great opportunity for your career and stuff. And
and then hold on, I do have one really cool shot from the Urge at Ballpark Village earlier this summer that Bill messaged me and said, hey, can I have these 4 images? So now the landing image for the urge.net is my image.
Oh yeah. I think I saw that today because I just put up Carl's episode and I linked. Okay. So that's it was like the fisheye kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's really a cool shot.
Thank you. So that's another one. I love that image too. It's awesome.
Yeah. That's it was like Steve's right in the middle, and then you got like Bill over to his left or his right.
His right.
Yeah, and then Carl on bass and stuff. That's a neat shot. So
thank you.
Yeah. Do you have a website or where people can go take a look at more of your work?
I do. It is www.kfbphotography.com.
All right. And they can go check out some more of Kenny's work, and you can see him at the Urge shows coming up in November, and seeing him live in action, snapping pictures.
If you do see me, make sure you come up to me and say what's up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be a party, man. I'm excited. They said they're gonna turn the pageant into Mississippi Nights for the night, so it's
which is just gonna be so cool, especially for us like old school Urge fans.
Yeah.
Guys that people that have been seeing the Urge, in the mid '90s.
Yeah.
At Mississippi Nights are just going to be blown away. It's going to be so cool.
And they say they're doing 2 sets, they said, and they're doing the first set is Receiving the Gift of Flavor, which is the 20th anniversary of it. So that's
right.
So yeah, it's been a long time.
Which is one incredible album.
Yeah, great record. I was there that night. They did the re-recording and stuff. It was a really cool moment to be a part of all.
Wasn't that cool?
Yeah,
and Webster Groves of all places too.
Yeah. It's great to. I'm excited to hear what it sounds like.
I know. I can't wait either.
Yeah. That was fun, man. I talked to Carl quite a bit about that night, and it was just it was really something special. I was glad to be a part of the history of it.
It was special. I mean, that was special, and the folks that were there were I mean, really, truthfully, diehard Urge fans.
Yeah.
And that's what made it so cool, too, is how many people would you guess maybe were there? Maybe 50?
Yeah, I think it was like about 50.
50 people in the most intimate setting. I mean, and the Ozark Theater, like small, old theater from, there was a movie theater back in the 70s. I think my mom and dad have seen movies in that theater when they were in high school at Webster Groves. So, for them to transport it into a recording studio was really special.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Like, I mean, there was it was totally different than anything I thought it was going to be. Like, I kind of imagine more of a proper Urge show, with recording it. But when it was a lot different to see the guys stand still next to their microphone and to playing instead of running around jumping like they always are.
Well, yeah, Bill spends half the show, 4 feet in the air.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and to see Bill standing there, that was funny.
Yeah.
Well, and Steve and Matt too. I mean, and Jerry. Everyone's always running around.
Yeah, that's what it's, and it's infectious, man. It's that energy when they, you can't help but to jump around with them and stuff.
No.
So.
And you can't help but to sing along to every single song too.
Yeah, that's another. We're gonna have some credits on the album for singing "Drunk Asshole" and "Dirty Rat." So that was gonna be exciting to see my name in print on an Urge record.
An Urge record, I know. That'll be really cool.
Yeah. So yeah. All right, Kenny, man, this has been a whole lot of fun. I appreciate you taking some time out to hang.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So check out
KFBphotography.com. Just like KFC, but with a B.
I'm sure they'll appreciate the plug, too. Just like KFC.
Yeah, right.
His pictures are finger looking good. That's All right, Kenny.
All right.
That's a wrap. Thank you.
Cool.
Rock Paper Podcast, y'all.